All right. You have made it to the end. Yes, yes. But you're hanging in there. Hey, we started at 9 o'clock. We let you sleep in, people. You know what I'm saying? And we're finishing up at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and so we are going strong today. For those that are persevering, we give you props. Make sure you give yourselves right now a big round of applause. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so we're going to close out talking about, obviously, a subject that I love, right, which is good contents. Hopefully everybody has got great contents. And so this number is a number that we've talked about again and again and again. So I'm going to do, a few people in the halls have said, so what's the deal with the big five? What's the deal? And that's because I know there's a set of you that are familiar with the whole They Ask You Answer story. There's another set that is not. We're going to quickly cover it. And then we're going to talk about some things that I'm seeing that we must pay attention to. Fun stuff, but cool stuff that's going to matter to all of us. Okay, so the question about the 70% is, when you take most sales teams right now and most leadership teams, and you ask them what percentage of the sale is made before someone actually talks to a salesperson, more often than not, they have no idea of this 70% number. And so as great marketers, as great communicators, we've got to make sure always that our team understands this movement, this trend, and this number. Because if they understand that, they say things like, well, I guess we better have a great website. Like, I have to accept that reality. But what is a great website in 2018 and beyond? Similar to what we've talked about today, a great website is simply, can I find it? And can I find it fast? Now, that is what defines a great search or a great buying experience in 2018. Can I find it? Can I find it quickly? And that is the essence of this thing. This it is content marketing. But the problem is, once again, most folks, if you talk to them, don't really understand what it is. And that's why we embrace this philosophy of They Ask You Answer with our clients at Impact. And we are trying to bring it to the world because it's utterly simple. Now, here's what's fascinating. We've seen this over and over again. Now, here's the part of the big five. For those that didn't get it, this is the part that really matters. When somebody is making a buying decision, you, me, we want to feel like we understand these 5 things before we engage the company. And if we can't get these 5 things, generally we don't feel comfortable about it. Here they are. As buyers, we're obsessed with knowing how much is it. We're obsessed with knowing what are the negatives or the issues with it. We're obsessed with knowing how does it compare to all that other stuff that we're looking at. How does everybody feel about it? And what is the best it? And that, my friends, is the economy. And what's crazy is most businesses don't like to talk about these 5 things. And so if we looked at this in terms of the traditional funnel, so many companies have come to me in the last 7 years since I've been talking about this and said, Marcus, we're not getting results with our content. There's a simple reason. You see it over and over again. There's a pattern. Number 1, they're not thinking like the buyer. But number 2, this is how they roll. If you aligned your content in terms of where does the content fit in terms of the buying cycle, most of the content that most companies are producing is in what we call the land of fluff. In other words, it doesn't really have value. Whereas the smartest companies know you don't start at the top or outside of that funnel. You start with the questions that your actual buyers are asking. That is the core. And this is the litmus test of great content. I'm really serious about this. Like everything that you saw with, say, a River Pools or some of these other companies that we talked about or highlighted today, here is the litmus test. The test is this. Could your sales team use that video or use that article or whatever that thing is right now? In other words, would they say, my goodness, that's another tool in my toolbox? Or would they say, I don't know why we're addressing that thing because I don't ever deal with that issue? This is fundamental. And this has not slowed down over the course of the last 7 years. In fact, searches for reviews have only increased in the last 2 years. So if you're not focusing on the big 5, and that's what Steve did at Yale and so many others have done in this room, this is what matters. Now, there's some other trends that are really fascinating, and I'm calling this the me revolution. We're all becoming obsessed with searching specifically to us. This is how we're now approaching our voice-activated devices, almost like personal assistants. So what do I mean by this? This is fascinating. Pay attention, because it's going to affect all of our businesses as we go forward, and you want to be first when it comes to this. Searches with the two words added, "for me," have increased by 130% over the last 2 years. For me. So can you think of a search that you may have done with "for me"? Let me show you some of the popular ones. It's fascinating. What car is right for me? What is the best type of investment for me? What is the best diet for my dog? Specific, individualized. We love dogs, right, Bella? We love dogs. And then finally, which guitar is right for me? This is the questions we're asking. It's becoming a for me society. This is us as buyers. So how does this impact you? Well, we're going to talk about it here in a second. There's another trend that's really fascinating, and that is the "should I" trend. Now, this one is really wild. This is the one that's going to make you say, dang, we're kind of screwed up as a human race. Would you like to see the most searched "should I" phrases in the world right now? Would you like to see them? Say yes. Yes, good. We'll show them to you because you asked for it. Yes. Number 1, what should I order for lunch? Because clearly you don't know. Number 2, should I text him? Any of you all got teenagers? Teenagers in the room? Teenagers? I want you to go home to that teenager, to that wonderful young lady, and I want you to tell that person, if you have to ask a machine, the answer is no. And then finally, most disconcerting, what should I do with my life? They say, I'm worried about AI taking over the world. No, it already has. So you might as well get on board, everyone. How does this affect you? Well, an example of what we're doing at River Pools right now is we know that people are asking, what is the best type of swimming pool for me? What is the best shape and size for my backyard? And so we're developing a series of really simple applications that go on the site where they can walk through this process of self-selection or self-configuration. This is what buyers want today. This is what you want. This is what I want. And so what could you create that would allow someone through a simple series of questions to achieve this? Let me show you one other great example before I close out, okay? So this is my daughter, Danielle. Now, some of you know the story of Danielle. She's traveled with me all over the world. She's amazing. She's getting ready to go to college. And she has been doing makeup in a variety of ways over the last 3 or 4 years. Got a little business in high school. It's been successful. And now she wants to take that to college. And so she came to me and she said, Dad, I need a website for my makeup business in college. I said, I agree. And so naturally, we went to an easy place to build a website, which is Wix.com. Anybody ever heard of Wix.com? Now, here's what happens when you go to Wix. Now, imagine this. She's on the computer in front of me, and I'm standing over her shoulder watching this happen. So she goes there, and quickly Wix asks her a very simple question. No confusion. Wix says to her, we want your Wix experience to be perfect for your needs. Answer a few questions to help us get to know you better. And she's like, all right, I'm game. Let's play. She makes the click. Now, next thing, the only thing she sees on the screen, nothing else. I want to create a website for, now she has a choice, myself or a client. As soon as she clicks myself, kind of smiling as she's doing it, you could tell she's enjoying the process. Another sentence pops up, and it starts to do this more and more and building upon itself each time she's answering the question. And it's really fascinating to watch her face as she's going through this. And then it asks her, let Wix ADI create a website for you. Answer a few questions and get a website designed for you in minutes with custom text and images. She's like, this is sweet. I'm like, yeah, I know. Let's keep going. So she keeps going. And then it says, so what is the website for? She says, I'm going to be a makeup artist. Does your website need any of the following features? She's like, yeah, I need to take bookings. And then it gets really interesting because it says, what is the name of your business? And what does she not have yet? A name of her business. So she thinks of a name. she types it in, almost smiling again, looking at me like, wow, this is so cool, Dad. And she goes through the process and it says, so why don't you pick a style that you love of your website? So she picks a style, totally investing emotionally the whole time. And then finally it says, now I'm going to create your homepage. It says preparing. She's preparing. And it shows each one of the steps, each one of the sections as it's being built. And she's watching this real time. The anticipation is building, and then finally it pops out. Here it is, the first version of your website, Natural Beauty by Danielle. And she looks at me and smiles. And of course, the next thing she does is, yes, she asked me for my credit card. That's what happens. That's what they do. You have teenagers, that's what they do. But here's the catch. In her mind, did she already own it, yes or no? Yes. So the question is, what can you and I do to create that type of experience of self-selection, of self-configuration? Here's the thing. This is going to happen all the time. You want to be first in your space. Be the first mover and let everybody else freak out. And when that happens, you're going to see that the leads are going to explode. It's exciting times with content. And all we've got to do is think like a buyer. Once again, thank you very much.